Hey guys, Zero here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the mini showcase at the beginning. Now the real question is this technically considered an off meta, considering right now everything's anomaly based? So please allow me a few minutes of your time so I can explain how the build works. Now moving on to the gear, we're going to start off with the helmet. Obviously I'm running a 3-piece statue set. The perk associated with the statue set, it says while either Tremor or Golem is active, increase weapon damage by 50% and weapon leech by 15% for you and your teammate. Now mind you, make sure you understand what it says, because it says while either Tremor or Golem is active. If it's on a cooldown, then you lose that 50%, which is why I run Death of Golem. So I can extend the duration of my Golem and maintain that 50% for as long as I keep getting kills. So regardless of the fact, even though the duration of it has expired, you'll see throughout my gameplay that my duration or my bar extends out, keeps extending out, because I keep getting kills. So that's a must-have for this build. That way you can keep your 50% active at all times and you can just keep that DPS as high as possible. Basically, with that alone, with that 50%, you're already above 1.1 mil. Now, if you add everything else with it, you're going to easily hit 2 million. And then finally, the most I ever hit was 2.4 million. So finishing off the rest of the helmet, obviously we have Golem of Death, Perseverance, and Tainted Blood. Moving on to chest, we have Force Feedback, Auto Reflect, and Rockfall. Now, Force Feedback is a really good one, and not a lot of people use it. Now, mind you, everyone uses Reflect as a buff, and that's it. They proc it, they release it, and they use the damage buff. That's it. So Force Feedback is a good one because it says upon contact, the barrier inflicts 92,000 damage that is increased for every enemy in close range up to 10 times. Now mind you, since we're using shotgun, you're going to be in close quarters wherever you add. So that ability is really useful. Now Auto Reflect, this perk is amazing, and I don't know why people don't use it, but hopefully you guys will start using it. I really did like this perk. I like the fact that they added this with this new DLC, and it's pretty phenomenal. Auto Reflect says you can now fight while the skill is active, but you cannot manually deactivate the skill. It only negates 50% of the damage. Now, although it's only negating 50% of damage, it's still extremely useful, and it's pretty awesome to see. As you saw in my footage, all that craziness going on, it's part of my Auto Reflect, and it's part of my Golem, and it's part of everything else that's going on. So hopefully you guys start using it the way it should be used. At least, again, that's my opinion. Obviously, Rockfall is really good. It just says breathe every 1.5 seconds that deals 138,000 damage. Every enemy that it hits by a rock fragment from the debris receives 30% more melee damage for 3 seconds. So if you can time it correctly, an ad gets hit by a rock and you melee him, and then you're doing 30% more damage. So you can kind of also incorporate that into like a melee build if you really wanted to. Moving on to my leg, I have Golem Squad, Primal Chain Gun, and then Primal Chain Gun level 1. Now that is the reason why I'm able to reach 2.4 million firepower, because of those two mods alone. One's giving me a boost of 20%, and the other one's giving me a boost of 10%. Now obviously Golem Squad is just increasing my duration of my Golem, which is extremely helpful. And then obviously if you're playing with your teammates, you're now giving them a smaller version of a Golem. Something to consider when you're doing this build as well. Moving on to my arms, I have Dead Clock, Bloody Boost, and Vampiric Mag. Now Vampiric Mag is probably the most important mod you need to have in this build. The reason for that is because we're inflicting bleed to ensure we get our ammo back. That way we're not constantly reloading. So you just keep it going and you just keep DPS down range, and it's just awesome. It helps out a lot. Obviously Dead Clock is really good since we're proccing all of our abilities all the time basically. As soon as it becomes available, we're going to proc it, which is going to help us reach that 2.4 million damage I keep telling you guys about. Finally, on my boots, I have Captain Hunter, Bleeding Impulse, and Reflect Bullets. Obviously, Bleeding Impulse is part of me inflicting bleed. Any adds within a 10 meter radius will be inflicted by bleed because of my Golem. So that's extremely helpful. Not only do I inflict bleed by my bullets, but I'm also inflicting bleed by my abilities, which is extremely helpful. And finally, the perk Equator says damaging block by the skill is released as a damaging anomaly disc that rotates around the player. The damage dealt is increased dependent on the amount of damage blocked by the skill. So since we're using this skill, you can see my anomaly around my guy, as you saw in the showcase. That's that crazy stuff going around my guy, helping me out, doing a lot of damage and increasing damage as I start taking more damage. So that one's really useful. Moving on to my weapons, I have the Phalanx. It's got obviously Sanctuary and Fortress on it. And finally on my bottom perk, I have Till Death to Us Part. Now that perk is useful, yes. It does damage, obviously, and it heals me at the same time, which is really useful. But I kind of wish I had more of a damaging perk at the bottom of it. But still, it's extremely useful. Still does damage. So I don't mind having it. I put Fortress on it just to increase my damage, increase my armor, my resistance, survivability. So that helps out a lot as well. Sanctuary is just a phenomenal perk. I don't know what to say about it. It's just awesome. Successful shots generate a short protective sphere effect around the player that reduces incoming weapons damage by 30% and anomaly damage by up to 30%. Now, it's just awesome. You can hear the bullets pretty much ricocheting off my reflect, off of my Sanctuary, and it's just awesome. When you finish any map or any expedition, you're going to see block so much damage because of this perk alone. So this perk, along with Till Death to Us Part, work perfect together, because as you're blocking, you're healing, and as you're doing damage, you're healing, and as you're doing damage, more armor resistance, more armor, and you're still doing more damage. So you can just see how the damage continues to stack in this build. So it's so good. Now, mind you can use a depth shield, which I have a really good one here. I have Fortress, and then I have Sanctuary at the bottom as well. But to me, the depth shield just shoots too slow. It does more damage than my Phalanx, obviously, but to me, it just shoots too slow. So obviously, it's personal preference for everyone. If you want to use this one, that's great. If you want to use the Nimoy, that's great. Whatever you like. But I personally, I just like the rate of fire specific for that Phalanx, because it pretty much goes hand in hand with my Funipyra. Now, my Funipyra comes with Shot of Comet, obviously. I put Violent Rupture on it, and then Noxious Spawns came with it at the bottom. Noxious Spawn is pretty awesome. Like, I don't know how else to explain it, but just, it's awesome. The stuff that goes on with that perk alone is amazing. I haven't seen a shortfall on it. Like, once you hit a target, it pretty much follows that target, no matter how far he goes. So I'm gonna probably focus on a build specifically for that. But for now, for this build, it's just so much fun. It does a lot of damage. Obviously, Violent Rupture does an immense amount of damage. And you're going to see me mainly use a Funipyra as a AoE type of weapon. All my damaging would come from my Phalanx. All my AoE would come from my Funipyra. Now, you can use a Nimoy, or you can use a shotgun with Moaning Winds and Radiation Splash. But it's entirely up to you, however you feel like it. Again, this is the setup I went with. You can use any mod you want, but I just found these 6 mods between these 2 shotguns the most effective. One for straight damage and one for AoE. So it worked really well for me. Now again, this build is pretty fun. I did enjoy it. And the big question is this technically a meta or not? As of right now, technically it's not meta. So if you like the content I'm putting out there, you like these builds, I would greatly appreciate if you guys subscribe to the channel, gave this video a thumbs up, and turn that bell notification on. It helps me out and it helps my channel grow, so I greatly do appreciate it. Moving on to the skills, I have Reflect Bullets, Golem, and Boulder Dash. This Boulder Dash is basically the reason why I'm doing so much damage, because of those 2 mods I told you guys about. Reflect is just amazing overall, and then Golem, because of my perk, I'm obviously increasing my bleed on targets and staying alive. Moving on to my class, nothing special. Went all top tree, Shotgun Master. I obviously increase my magazine, and then I want to make sure I get my 70% damage from my Boulder Dash. The one thing I did add was the Heirloom Armor. Since I'm with a shotgun, I'm up close, I want to get more armor transferred to me every time I kill an ad. My packs tree, I went Hunting Season, Hardened, Finishing Touch, Strange Surgeon, and then Overwhelming Force. Obviously, I want to inflict bleed through my shots, through my Golem. That way I get my ammo back because of Vampiric Magazine, and then I never have to reload. Now you can go Middle Tree to increase your damage against elites, which is good. But then you're relying on one source, which is your Golem, to inflict bleed. So that's an option. It wouldn't hurt to do that as well, but it's entirely up to you guys, however you guys want to play it. This is the build I went with, and it worked out really well for me. For my ascensions, obviously I went Brutality, basically armor piercing, close range damage, weapon damage, cooldown of course, more elite damage, a little bit of armor, and then find some more resistance. That worked out perfectly for me. If you guys need more health, you can do health, or you can do more weapons leech. Those are two options you can do if you really wanted to. For now, this is my build. Again, I appreciate everybody watching my videos. I appreciate all the comments everyone's been giving me. It's been awesome. I really am enjoying this DLC, and I really am enjoying making these builds. So once again, thank you all for watching, and have a blessed day.